facing a foreclosure, there's more help out there than ever before. The problem with that is there's so many choices. You need to be more informed, because when it comes to your home, the wrong decision can cost you big, and that's why it's critical to get sound legal advice before you decide how you can save your home and how you can keep your credit in check.
And that's why we welcome today the lady of the law, Allison, with the law firm Emery, Kast and Walker, the law firm here in Jacksonville dedicated to helping good people in bad times.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Good
yeah,
morning.
Thanks for
Always
being here.
good.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about first, you're having some problems meeting your financial obligations when it involves your house and your mortgage payment. At what point in time should you think about reaching out for help?
Well, in an ideal situation, the minute you realize you can't make your next payment would be your best opportunity to have all the options available to you. Sometimes we see people who have a sale date scheduled for tomorrow, literally. And so at that point, our options are quite limited.
Right.
So the earlier you are in the process, the better. Sometimes people come and see me and say, hey, listen, I've got money in the bank to make 2 more mortgage payments. I lost my job. That's it. That's the end of it. What should I do? What are my options? Where do we want to look? And so the more time we have available to us, the better an outcome you're going to get. Exactly. And of course, we can still help you if you have a foreclosure sale tomorrow, but what we can actually do for you is a lot more limited than what it would be if you had come and seen us a year ago. And now that the foreclosure laws have changed, things are moving along much more quickly. There was a time in Florida when foreclosures would last 3 years. The average foreclosure time was like 1,000 days, but that time is over, and so you really have to be proactive and act quickly if you hope to save your house.
Now, what do we do, or homeowners do, if they find themselves with high interest rates and unfavorable mortgages and all that, and they find themselves in this situation?
Well, we see a lot of that because back during the mortgage boom, people were getting all kinds of mortgage products that really weren't in their best interest, but their brokers or whatever was telling them, oh, hey, you can just refinance in a year, you can just refinance in 2 years. You know, some people have interest-only mortgages where their payment, it never goes toward their principal, and now their house is worth half of what it was when they bought it.
They were just closing the deal.
Exactly, and so of course, you know, the option to refinance never materialized. So now they're stuck in a bad mortgage product, and they can't make the payments, and the house is really depreciated significantly. The good news is that mortgage modifications come in all shapes and sizes. The average mortgage modification will take your interest rate, will fix it below 5%, take your mortgage payment and bump it down to where it's 31% or less of your monthly gross income. Then you have, and it may take it out over 40 years, but at least you have a payment you can afford, and you're not stuck in a product where you're making no headway at all on the principal of the mortgage.
And you can, if you find yourself where you're making more money at some point and you want to change that, I'm sure they'll change it.
And that's what I tell people. I say, you know, it's a 40-year mortgage, but if you put $600 more extra dollars a month, then you're going to pay it off that much earlier. So, you know, the important thing is that you understand what your options are. And sometimes walking away really is your best option. But if you don't know what's available to you, then, you know, it's kind of hard to make that decision.
And you say we had a brief second to talk about this beforehand, but we didn't go into detail about just how complex and convoluted and how much paperwork and it's just the nitty-gritty, and it's sometimes very difficult to understand.
Sure. And some people going into it think, oh, I can do this myself, so what? You know, it's just paperwork. Well, it really isn't, because the important thing is you have to understand what the bank is looking for and what they want to see on that paperwork. And so what we understand what the bank is looking for. I have a HUD counselor that we work with on every file. We work together to make sure that we spin the numbers exactly the right way so that we'll give you the optimal opportunity for a modification. The bank will say, oh, hey, wait a minute, you know, and plug in your numbers and realize that you qualify for several different programs. And so it's really important to have professionals who know what they're doing in your corner.
Now let's be real, let's be realistic. Somebody's out there, they're watching, they're saying, I'm in this situation, I've only got 1 month left on my mortgage to do it. How am I going to afford now to come to you and pay for my thing?
And that's a good question, because obviously that does come up. We have very flexible payment arrangements. We take small amounts over time. You know, we really do try to work with people who come in who are serious about saving their house and have the means to do so. Now, if you come in and you say, I have no income, I have 0 income, I'm never going to have any more income, there probably isn't a whole lot we can do for you. But, you know, that's not your average situation. And, you know, I often say you probably could fill your own cavities at home. It probably isn't the best idea, so why do you do your own legal work at home? You know, find a professional who knows exactly how it's supposed to look on the paperwork. And we also, the bank, you really have to just be tenacious when you submit a modification package or whatever you're trying to do. You have to call them all the time. What's the status? Where am I? What else do you need? What other paperwork do you need? I mean, I've seen people you know, they have tried for a year to get a modification just because they didn't have the right
One
account
thing
number
in
on
there.
every page of their 48-page application. They were denied. And there are banks who only give you so many cracks at it. If you send more than 4 attempts at a modification, then you're no longer eligible for any modification.
And it could just be clerical.
Exactly. It could just be that you didn't have page 8 of 8 pages or something. It's really surprising how detailed they get and the things that they require that you would never otherwise know.
And do they not come back and say, oh, by the way, you're missing page 8 here?
Well,
They
sometimes
just,
they do, but
if
then
you're lucky.
they'll send you a letter that's dated 6 weeks ago that says, you know, please get us this.
Now.
Exactly, and then it's too late, and then they've basically bounced you out of the system, and you've got to start over. So it can be really frustrating. I have people come in and say, "Hey, I have been trying faithfully to get a modification with my bank for over a year now, and they keep saying they don't have a complete package." So we just, you know, it's our job to make sure that all of that gets submitted, that we stay on top of it, that we know how the numbers are supposed to look, and we get them to look that way. And if you don't write your loan number on the top of every single page of your application, it can get bounced. So it really, it's so arbitrary, and you know, every lender is looking for something different. So we have a list of, okay, if it's this bank, we need to do this. If it's that bank, we need to do that. So really, it's important to get somebody in your corner who understands
Goodness, you're a
all that.
specialist.
Well, you know, we do what we can.
All right. Thanks so much for being here. We
Yes,
appreciate your
absolutely.
advice.
I'd like to thank the ladies of the law, Emery, Kast, and Walker, for sponsoring this segment.
And remember, they say the biggest mistake you can make when facing any sort of financial hardship is to do nothing. The legal team of Emery, Kast, and Walker, they say they understand exactly what you're going through, and they're here to help good people in bad times. Their website is there on the screen, www.jackslawyer.com, or you can call them 904-404-3394 for a free consultation to find solutions to your problems. Offices in Jacksonville and also in St. Augustine.